Section 1. The first strange thing that happened in our new home occurred less than a month after we moved in. Looking back now, I still wonder what would have happened if I had ignored it. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. My wife Cheryl and I had been together for 10 years and married for 2. Buying this house in a quiet inland town in Georgia felt like the beginning of a new chapter. The property was exactly what we had always wanted. Wide open space, a peaceful neighborhood, and a stretch of woods behind the backyard. We talked constantly about adopting a dog, maybe raising kids here someday, and spending summers outside while they ran through the grass. For the first couple of days, everything felt perfect. We spent the weekend unpacking boxes, arranging furniture, and learning the quirks of the house. By Monday night, we were exhausted. The lights had been off for maybe 20 minutes when something shattered the silence. Music. Not faint music. Not distant music. Loud music. The sound seemed to erupt from somewhere behind the house. Cheryl and I immediately looked at each other. The neighbors weren't close enough for us to mistake where it was coming from. The sound wasn't drifting across the street. It was coming from our backyard. I sat up in bed. "What is that?" Cheryl whispered. I walked to the window and cracked it open. The music became clearer instantly. It sounded old, really old. The recording had that scratchy, staticky quality that made it feel as if it were being played from another era entirely. The cheerful melody somehow felt unsettling in the darkness. A few seconds later, I realized it wasn't just random music. It was a song. Years later, I would learn it was "Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf" by Henry Hall. At that moment, though, all I knew was that hearing a decades-old song blasting outside a new house in the middle of the night felt deeply wrong. Neither of us moved for several seconds. The song continued. Loud, unnatural, almost deliberate. Finally, I got out of bed. "We must have a backyard light somewhere," I said. I headed downstairs while Cheryl stayed near the bedroom window, watching the darkness beyond the glass. Section 2. The house was still unfamiliar to us, so finding the correct switch took a few tries. I flipped one. Nothing. Another. Still nothing. Then suddenly the backyard flooded with yellow light. I immediately looked through the glass door. Nobody. The yard was completely empty. The music continued anyway. I opened the door. The cool night air rushed inside. Out in the yard, the song sounded even louder. I stepped onto the grass and slowly turned in a circle. That's when I realized something important. The music wasn't actually coming from the backyard. It was coming from the woods. The dark tree line behind our property stood motionless beneath the night sky. The deeper I listened, the more certain I became that the source was somewhere among those trees. The song eventually ended. And just like that, everything went silent. No footsteps. No laughter. No movement. Nothing. The sudden absence of sound felt almost as disturbing as the music itself. I stood there for another minute before returning inside. "What was it?" Cheryl asked. "I think it's probably some kids," I said. Even as the words left my mouth, they sounded ridiculous. Kids? Playing obscure music from the 1940s in the woods behind a stranger's house. Why? For what reason? Neither of us had an answer. Eventually, we went back to bed, but sleep came slowly. The next day, we tried to move on. Work distracted us for a while. By evening, the incident almost felt less serious. Almost. Then night came. We climbed into bed and turned off the lights. A few minutes later, the music returned. This time it was even louder. The sound hit so suddenly that Cheryl physically jumped. I sat upright immediately. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," I muttered. The song was different now. One everyone has heard before. "Tiptoe Through the Tulips." Normally it might have sounded silly. In that moment it sounded horrifying. The old recording echoed through the darkness outside, carrying across the property like some twisted announcement. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. The fact that it was happening again changed everything. This wasn't random. Someone had done this before, and someone had come back. Then I noticed something outside. A shape, not a person, an object, sitting in the grass. I pointed toward the window. "Do you see that?" Cheryl nodded slowly. I could hear concern creeping into her voice. "Just call the police. Let me check what it is first." Those words would turn out to be a mistake. Section 3. At the time, I convinced myself I was doing the responsible thing. Part of me wanted answers. Part of me wanted to prove to Cheryl, and honestly to myself, that whoever was doing this couldn't intimidate us. I headed downstairs and stepped into the yard. The song continued playing. The closer I got, the more clearly I could see the object resting in the grass. It wasn't large, much smaller than I had expected. When I finally reached it, I stopped. An old radio. The music was blasting from a weathered portable radio sitting directly in our yard. For a moment, I simply stared at it. Someone had physically entered our property. Someone had placed this there. Someone had wanted us to hear it. I bent down and switched it off. The sudden silence felt enormous. Relieved, I lifted the radio and looked toward the bedroom window where Cheryl was watching. I held it up and yelled, "Somebody left a radio out here." I expected her to laugh, or maybe shake her head. Instead, her expression changed completely. The color drained from her face. Then she screamed. Not startled screaming, not playful screaming, real panic. The kind that instantly makes your stomach drop. "Run!" I froze. "What?" "Run inside." Her voice cracked. I had never heard her sound like that before. I took a step toward the house. "Why?" Then came the answer. "There are people behind you." Time seemed to stop. My heart hammered so hard it felt painful. Slowly, I turned toward the woods. At first, I couldn't process what I was seeing. 3 figures, standing perfectly still, near the tree line, separated by several feet, watching me. They weren't moving. They weren't speaking. They weren't approaching. They were simply standing there, facing my direction, waiting. Even from that distance, I could feel it. The unsettling awareness that they had probably been there the entire time, watching me walk toward the radio, watching me examine it, watching me stand there alone. Every survival instinct in my body activated at once. I dropped the radio, turned, and sprinted. I don't remember crossing the yard. I only remember reaching the door, throwing myself inside, and slamming it shut behind me. The lock clicked. Then another. Then another. Upstairs, Cheryl was already crying. And for the first time since moving into that house, I felt genuinely afraid. Section 4. The next several minutes felt much longer than they actually were. Every sound inside the house seemed amplified. The hum of the refrigerator, the creaking floorboards, even our breathing. Cheryl sat on the edge of the bed, visibly shaking. I grabbed my phone and called 911. As I explained what happened, I kept expecting to hear something outside. A knock, footsteps, a window breaking, anything. Instead, there was only silence. That silence became its own kind of torture. The dispatcher remained on the line while we waited. Neither of us dared look too long out the windows. The thought of seeing those figures again was enough to make my stomach knot. Eventually, headlights appeared outside. Police. The sight of those flashing lights brought a wave of relief. 2 officers arrived and listened carefully while we explained everything. I showed them the radio. I told them exactly where I found it. I explained that I had only touched the handle and asked if they could take it with them. Maybe fingerprints, maybe evidence, anything. The officers agreed to take it. Then they walked toward the woods with flashlights. From the safety of the house, Cheryl and I watched through the window. The beams of light swept across the trees, back and forth, searching, looking for movement, looking for people, looking for answers. But the woods remained stubbornly silent. After several minutes, the officers returned. They hadn't found anyone. No trespassers. No footprints they could confidently identify. Nothing. One of them suggested it may have been teenagers. Another admitted the entire situation was strange. Neither explanation made us feel better. Eventually, the officers left. The flashing lights disappeared down the road. And just like that, we were alone again. That's when the reality of the situation truly settled in. The police had gone home. We still lived there. The woods were still there. And whoever had placed that radio knew exactly where we lived. For the rest of the night, neither of us slept much. Every small noise pulled our attention toward the windows. Every gust of wind through the trees sounded suspicious. We kept expecting something else to happen. Another song, another radio, another glimpse of those figures. But the night remained quiet, uncomfortably quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you wonder if someone is still out there watching. Section 5. Morning eventually arrived, bringing sunlight and a temporary sense of safety. The woods looked normal again. Ordinary, harmless. The same trees that had helped convince us to buy the property. But after what happened, neither Cheryl nor I could look at them the same way. Over the following days, we talked constantly about what we had seen. The radio was strange enough on its own, but the 3 people changed everything. If it had only been the music, I could have dismissed it as some bizarre prank. If it had only been the radio, maybe I could have written it off as teenagers looking for a reaction. But 3 silent figures standing in the darkness behind my property, watching me without speaking, watching my wife through the window, That was something else entirely. What bothered me most was their behavior. They never rushed me. They never shouted. They never demanded anything. They simply stood there, almost as if the point wasn't confrontation, almost as if the point was fear. That thought stayed with me. Weeks have passed since it happened. Thankfully, we've never seen them again. The music never returned. No more radios appeared in the yard. No one has been spotted near the woods. Life has gradually returned to normal, at least on the surface. But certain moments still bring everything back. Sometimes when I walk into the backyard after sunset, I catch myself looking toward the tree line. Sometimes Cheryl does the same. Neither of us talks about it when it happens. We don't have to. We're thinking the same thing. Were those people locals? Were they targeting us specifically? Had they done this before? Or did we simply become the unlucky recipients of some deeply disturbing game? We'll probably never know. The police never contacted us with any updates. No suspects were identified. No explanations surfaced. The mystery remains exactly where it began, in those woods behind our home. What I do know is this. The people who stood there that night wanted us to know they were watching. They wanted us to hear the music. They wanted us to feel uncomfortable. And for a few terrifying minutes, standing alone in my backyard while 3 silent strangers watched from the darkness, they succeeded. To this day, I still feel a chill whenever I hear an old song playing somewhere unexpectedly. Because no matter how much time passes, part of me is transported back to that yard, back to that radio, back to Cheryl screaming from the window, and back to the moment I turned around and saw 3